This is the software demonstration that I've created to, I suppose, to see how we can change and modernize the lorry empty loads process that exists at the moment. I'll tell you what, I'll try and cut this as short as I can and just kind of get straight into it. I don't need to give too many descriptions because it's kind of time wasting and confusing. So let's start with the very first part of the process here. The haulier would have to enter his or her empty load. What do I have available? These are just demonstration records at the moment, clearly. So what's the haulier going to enter? He's going to enter the departure point of the lorry. Where's it going empty to and from? He or she will enter the destination postcode. So basically it's coming from where he dropped off the load for the lorry to get back to his or her depot. What type of truck is it? You can choose whatever you need to choose. What date is the vehicle coming back empty? You could actually I've got a from and a to date so that you could maybe leave it 1 or 2 days to try and catch an empty load if that's what they decided to do. And you know what? This would need to be developed, and you would need to identify what other critical information does the haulier need to input so that he can get a properly matched load. Because as we've kind of said and discussed, we do not want to waste people's time by having a load match that doesn't actually fit with the truck. Anyway, but that's one way of manually entering the load. But what the ideal way to do is we would just create a spreadsheet and you would upload it by spreadsheet. So you'd have the type of vehicle, some sort of identifier for the vehicle itself, whether it's a number plate or a reference number or whatever, the postcode departure point, the destination point, whether it's full or empty, that may be part empty and somebody might want to stick 4 or 5 pallets on. Then we've got this date range again, forklift with truck, or whatever information needs to be put here to ensure there's a proper match. And then you might hit an upload button from your spreadsheet. It would just take it directly into the system. Now, the system's going to allow you to review the loads that you've just entered. And this is pretty much it. These are the 5 loads that you had in your spreadsheet. It just lets you instantly see where the lorries are coming back empty. Got a new reference number, which I'll explain what that is later on. You might look and think, yep, that's my empty loads. Let's just place them on the system. I'm done and dusted. Okay, so that's how you would enter your loads. So the next key here is how do we calculate the actual cost that we're going to charge for a specific empty load? Okay, so in a haulier's record, he is going to have to decide exactly how much he wants to charge per mile for a given truck type on a specific empty load or return journey. These are just it's demonstration figures, you know. This is just a demonstration system. It's not live. It's not linked to anything. So let's say, for example, an Arctic flatbed. He had a figure in here of, let's say it was £1.20 per mile. That's how much he wants per mile for the moving of an empty load. He may also have a loading charge. You're thinking, you know, I've got a guy that I've got to pay for an hour while the truck's getting loaded, and I might have another hour or another 3/4 of an hour at the other end while it gets unloaded, and I want to charge for it. It's just my rules. So every haulier would have their own independent record for this, determining how much they want to sell their empty miles for. So I would also probably ask the haulier to say, what's the shortest distance you want to move an empty load? You know, some hauliers might say, you know what, I don't want to waste my time and bother with it for 30 miles. I'm going to get 30 miles from a £1.20 plus my whatever. It's no use to me. I might say, as a haulier, a minimum of 100 miles. I will take any load that's greater than 100 miles. I'll not take any less than that. Now, this is key because this makes the whole part of the system work in a way that nobody else's works. So select the quantity of miles from the truck route. So clearly this, on my example, I think my truck comes from Birmingham up to Lawrence Kirk. That's the actual empty route. So what if somebody needs a load from, in my example, it's Manchester to Dundee. So what the system does is I'll just do the demonstration. It calculates. It's almost like an inclusion zone. So the system will pick up every single postcode within a 20-mile radius of the entire route. And as in this case, of 723,000 postcodes. And I've done this in a previous system, so this does work. It's a lot of effort, but it does work. So you do not have to have, if you're a customer who's requiring a load empty, you don't have to know the exact end point and start point of the truck. The system will pick up for you automatically the trucks that are within 20 miles of the route as which your truck's traveling. I hope I've explained that as best as I can. Okay, so that's the hauliers part of it. I'm trying to make that as easy as I can so that they do not waste bucket loads of time trying to, muck about, filling in empty loads, dealing with queries. It needs to be simple. So the next part of the system, once there are empty loads, is it's a customer. Customer needs to move his or her goods. So, and this is key here, because this is how we have to make the system as simple as I possibly can. So let's say I'm a customer, I need a load of stuff picked up from this postcode in Manchester to a postcode in Dundee, for example. What's the date of I need that load? I might put in a window. It might be the 10th of May to the 14th of May. So I need it collected within that window. So that will bring those trucks into play that are actually empty on those given routes, within that date window. So I need the customer to describe the load. And a lot of work would have to go into this, and I wouldn't let people manually enter loads. It would have to be from a drop down. So need to be a lot of work to identify, all the different types of loads that hauliers might actually move up and down the road. I don't want people manual enter it. Things go wrong when you do that. And if this just so happens to be a load that's not in the system, the chances are that we can't take it and we don't want it. Okay, so assuming it's pallets, I have 8 pallets or 10 pallets or whatever it is. Is there a forklift truck available at the point of collection of the load? I need to know that as a haulier. I would also need one to know if there was a forklift to empty that load at the departure point. I would have another. I would need another field to drop that down. Are there dangerous goods? In this case, there's not, but there might be, and the classification of those dangerous goods might come up, and we might actually ask the haulier. In his record, he could allocate if a specific given truck type can take dangerous goods, and that's not something I specifically know about, but the hauliers will have a better idea. So anyway, let's get a description of the load. It's 200. It's my example here. It's 8 pallets of dog food. I might need a weight. It might be, I don't know, 2,700 kilos, including the pallets. Okay, I've identified what I want to move, where I want to move it from, and where it's going. This is the empty load that I require. So the system will now automatically give me a summary of the load that I want. So, and as I say, I almost don't need to go through this because it's almost too simple. These numbers, I have no idea. Just forget them. They're just sales spiel bullshit numbers. This is I am branding this as a green loads. This is about taking trucks off the road as far as investors are concerned, and as far as the media are concerned. The media are not really interested in empty loads and trucks, but they're interested in companies that are part of the green revolution, so to speak. So it's just a branding exercise. It's nothing more than that. There's many companies do empty loads. They don't quite do it like this. Anyway, so we've entered the empty load that we require. Let's see what the offers are in the system. And here they are. And this matches with the 5 loads that we input earlier on, because they all are within. They're all the delivery. The collection postcode and the delivery postcode are all within 20 miles of all of the other empty load routes that you input into the system earlier on. So it will automatically match them as a potential load coming back. So the customer looks at this. He gets an instant price, and this is what nobody else in this industry can do. There are no instant prices. Everybody has to wait for a quote. They have to call the haulier. They have to do this. They have to do that. They could be waiting a day. They could be waiting 4 or 5 hours. Oh, that needs to be removed. it has to be instant. The society that we live in today is instant price. And that this is what makes this different to anything else. It will calculate the price instantly on the empty load. Okay, so the customer might want to book it. So he just push the book button and he or she will, I don't know, they will move to the next stage. So the next stage really is the haulier needs to review this to see if he or she wants to accept the load. So once the customer presses a book button, they'll get a sort of review and then there'll be another button that they'll tell them to submit to the haulier. So once it's submitted to the haulier whose ever truck reference that was that put that load on will then get an email like this. It will summarize everything pretty concisely for this load in question. So firstly, it identifies his empty load. It identifies the full empty load of where it's coming from and going to. His empty load starts in Birmingham and finishes in Lawrencekirk because that might be his depot, or that's where that truck is going. It gives the date. The next part, it needs to identify. So now we look at the empty load part. So his truck needs to go from Birmingham to M60 to LA empty, and it's 111 miles. Sorry, it's 87 miles or 88 miles. This summarizes it. So here's the chargeable part of the route, because it's from postcode M60 to 2LA, 286 chargeable miles. Just a summary. And then we have the final part is once the load has been dropped off, the truck's coming back to Aberdeen empty and it's 70 miles, and this is just a summary. So now we have a cost sheet for how the pricing is worked out. Again, it's simple. This is hidden in the background. Nobody sees this except the haulier. So the chargeable part of the route, which is this piece, is 286 miles at the £1.20 per mile that he said he wanted to charge per empty mile, gives a total return of 343. He also had a loading charge of £17 and an unload charge of 15. And you could put penalties in if there wasn't, if there wasn't a forklift to pick up the goods, or you had to wait, or there was you could work out an hourly charge. And I think that people should be penalised for not being ready for the haulier. And as a company and as a business and as a website, we would have their credit card details if they wish to use the system, and there would be a penalty. And then the Grain Loads website, which is this, takes 20%. So the total listed on the website price is 431.48. That's how much the system takes. The haulier gets 375, and we get 56.28. And there's no negotiation on this. This is a price. We're not going to be the cheapest empty load website on the internet. That is not how I would see this working. Yes, you could get a cheaper empty load from somewhere else. You could do this, you could do that, you could do the next thing, but you cannot get it as concisely and simple as this in a few clicks of the mouse. We can't. This does not exist anywhere else. So then, this is a cost element of it. And then I don't know, can't quite remember where the return takes me back to, but that's basically the system. It allows everybody to upload their empty loads very easily. It allows trucks to be identified, and it allows the customer, crucially, to go in there and get an instant price for an empty load, and that empty load price should be about half 50% to 60% of the value of the original load. The customer has to be getting a decent deal. It's got to be financially incentive for them, and I guess also it's about being able to demonstrate green miles, and it's about getting some certain businesses in certain areas into the psychology of you look for the green miles first. How do we find the green miles first? As we move into the future, I kind of see it being it's look for the green mile first, and if we can't find a green mile, then we go to the haulier and then and we get a price. And this is not looking to take over any market. This is just looking to find a specific space in a market. That's it. So looking to take over anything. It is looking to revolutionize the backloads a little bit, to bring it into the kind of 21st century, really. It's about getting that instant price to the customer immediately. No wait. That's the difference between this and anything else. A lot of work is needed on this to make it work. And a lot of specifics about hauliers requirements need to be input into the system to match loads. Um, you know, because I might have had a bulk tanker, a liquid bulk tanker. So I need the bulk tanker to be excluded from the list if the load is pallets. So a lot of stuff needs to be worked out. But that's kind of where we are with the green loads project for empty loads, and I kind of just need your opinion really. That's really what I need. Anyway, I hope you've kind of stayed to the end. It's been pretty dull and boring for you, I'm sure, but that's it. Okay, thank you.